To the, wow, it is December 2nd, 2020 City Council regular meeting. And we have a number of guests this evening. I will say that Councillor Varwig will not be joining us this evening. He is, we'll just leave it at that. He won't be able to join us this evening. So, but we've got Kyle Lang and the chief sitting in, and our two newest city council members that'll be officially sworn in at the beginning of next year. So welcome to those that are joining us this evening. First up on the agenda this evening is we have two proclamations. The first one is Shop Canby during the month of December. I will read through it, and then this was brought forward by the Canby Area Chamber Director, Kyle Lang. And so I'll read this, Kyle, and then I'll give you a couple of minutes to speak on that piece of it. So the proclamation reads, whereas the City of Canby and the Canby Area Chamber of Commerce seek to bring the local community together to support economic vitality and the quality of life in Canby, and wish to celebrate the independence of the citizens of Canby and the entrepreneurial spirit represented by our core of local independent businesses. And whereas the individual decisions every community member makes today affect the future of Canby, and whereas it has been established that small business provides more new jobs than any other sector of the economy, and whereas the small business owners of our community are the risk takers who have invested their knowledge, energy, and personal assets in a variety of independent business careers, and in doing so, they have created employment opportunities for others while reaping the rewards of their independence. And whereas the small business owners of our community work hard in the marketplace to provide quality goods and services, and this, in turn, evokes the confidence, the consumers who respond in a fashion which keeps the economy healthy and vital. And now, therefore, on behalf of the City Council and the people of Canby, I, Brian Hodson, Mayor of Canby, Oregon, by virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby recognize the entire month of December 2020 as Shop Canby Month, and urge our citizens to recognize and commend the efforts of our business community in preserving the freedom, entrepreneurial spirit, and stability of our local economy. In witness thereof, and hereunto set my hands the second day of December 2020. Kyle, the floor is yours, sir.
All right. I want to thank you for agreeing to the proclamation. This has been actually the Shop Canby, the Buy Local or Buy Local campaign was put together in conjunction actually with the City of Canby's Economic Development Department. So I first want to extend thanks to the city, in particular, Jamie Stickle and Calvin LeSueur, for their help in getting this up off the ground. In terms of why now, why this, why now? It's critically important that we all on an individual basis make whatever effort we can to support our local business community in whatever means that we can. COVID has had massive effects on the local economy and individual residents of Canby, right, on them as well. They are a portion of that economy. And so we're simply urging folks to keep in mind that dollars spent in Canby tend to stay in Canby, whether that be through charitable contributions, sponsorship of sports teams, school programs, local not-for-profits, churches. That flow of dollars when we shop local and support our local economy is immeasurable. And it's one of those things when you pull on a single string, you never know which effect it's going to have in the whole tapestry. And so we just simply urge our local residents to shop local where they can in this holiday season. This campaign is specifically pointed to our retail community in the holiday season, but we plan on expanding it into next year, focusing on the hospitality industry, service work, and other types of businesses. So it's not just a simple flash in the pan campaign, but that we really start to weave this shop local idea into the DNA of our local community. So thank you.
Well, Kyle, I really appreciate the partnership that the Chamber and the City Economic Development Team have had through this entire year. I think the relationship that has been created and continues to do good things has been fortified. And when we look at 2020 as the year that is wrapping up, we have to find those glimmers of a silver lining through all of this. And I think one of the things for us as a city, at least from we'll say city hall and the Chamber, is the strengthening of this relationship to move things forward and do good things for our business community. So for that, I thank you for bringing this forward and persevering for the Chamber and for our business community. You've been a tremendous advocate this entire year, and I really do appreciate the hard work that you've put in and the advocacy that you do. So thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate it. And in terms of residents, anybody who is watching, make sure to go and seek out the holiday gift guide that the city itself put together, showcasing many gift giving opportunities within our local community.
Kyle, where can one pick up said guide?
Canby Business, their Facebook page. I have shared that onto my Facebook page, and it is in the process of being uploaded to my website as well. I believe it was done in partnership with the Canby Current team. So I'm sure folks can find it on canbyfirst.com and anywhere the Canby Current has a social media presence.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kyle. I really appreciate it. I have additional comments, but I'll save it for mayor's business and whatnot.
Yeah, and I'll jump off and join the YouTube stream for the rest of the meeting. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Kyle. The second proclamation I have this evening is regarding the mayor and city council election. Whereas the city of Canby, county of Clackamas, Oregon, held a general election on November 3rd, 2020. And whereas the Clackamas County Election Department offers the following abstract as an official count of votes as of November 19th, 2020. It's right there. Excuse me. I'm going to start over. Whereas the city of Canby, county of Clackamas, Oregon, held a general election on November 3rd, 2020, and whereas the Clackamas County Elections Department offers the following abstract as an official count of votes as of November 19th, 2020. For mayor, Brian D. Hodson received 6,492 votes. Undervotes were 3,285. Overvotes were 0. Write-ins 479. For city council, Jason Padden received 4,262 votes. Jordan Tibbles, 4,376 votes. Christopher Bangs, 4,510 votes. James Heeb, 4,270 votes. Tracy Hensley, 4,947 votes. Sarah Spoon, 4,798 votes. Undervotes were 13,499. Overvotes were 14. Write-in votes, 306. Whereas the three candidates who received the highest number of votes will have 4-year terms, the candidate who received the fourth highest number of votes will serve a 2-year term. Now, therefore, I, Brian Hodson, mayor of the city of Canby, Oregon, do hereby proclaim the foregoing to be a true and accurate accounting as presented by the Clackamas County Elections Division dated November 19th, 2020. And this is dated the second day of December of 2020. So to just streamline this even further, so the three top vote getters for the city council were Tracy Hensley, so she's been reelected. Sarah Spoon has been reelected. Christopher Bangs, newly elected. So those three people will serve 4-year terms. And Jordan Tibbles was the fourth vote getter who will serve the 2-year term. So to all four of the candidates, congratulations on your win. Councilor Spoon, Councilor Hensley, looking forward to continuing to work together. I think we've got some great work ahead of us. And then soon to be, we'll say Councilor-elect Bangs and Tibbles. I look forward to sitting down and getting you up to speed on just a few things that are going on here in the city of Canby. So thank you for that. Next on the agenda is communications. Scott or Joe or Melissa, anything on that front?
Mr. Mayor, this is Scott. We have nothing on this agenda item tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next on the agenda is citizen input and community announcements. So this is an opportunity for the audience members and the citizens to address the city council on items not necessarily on the agenda. Each person will be given 3 minutes to speak. Staff and city council will make every effort to respond to questions raised during the citizens input before the meeting ends or as quickly as possible thereafter. Generally, because we've been now in Zoom meeting status since March, we accept requests or written pieces of testimony or comments to our city recorder by 5 o'clock on the day of a city council meeting. And according to my notes from our city recorder, we have none this evening. Does that still hold true, Melissa?
Yeah.
Perfect. Great. Then I'll move into mayor's business. First, I just want to kind of circle back and talk about the proclamation about Shop Canby. And I find that this is a timely proclamation for our business community. As Kyle, the director of the chamber, was saying, this is the time of the year where, as we're celebrating Christmas and the holidays, and a lot of that is the gift-giving tradition, our retailers and our restaurants, this is the time when they close out their year and hopefully set themselves up for what generally tends to be a slower start to any given year, but I think will be exceptionally harder as we start 2021. I've been speaking with a number of business owners in town, and there have been a number that have done a tremendous job of course correcting and coming up with new ideas and being creative and taking their business model and business plan and throwing it out the window and coming up with new ideas and new things, and are being successful. There are a number of businesses that have done that and are still struggling. One business owner has to put on hold a move of their business for a new opportunity to hopefully grow and change, and that's on hold. I have talked with another business owner who's not even close to recovered from the first lockdown, and there's a lot of concern about what that will hold for them. And then I just talked to another business owner here in town who may not be able to reopen at all. As Mr. Lang said, it's buy Canby or buy Canby. I think that we have, as a council, I enter, I guess, my 11th and 12th years here on this council, there's been a tremendous focus on our business community, especially our downtown core. And I'm sure all of us on the council can attest to probably some pushback at times where why are we investing so much into our downtown? And I've always held the ground that if we lose our downtown, we lose our identity, and we lose a core of what I think makes Canby Canby. So as we are out and about, please do what you can and think of where can I get that here in Canby? before you look to other larger retailers this time of the year. That's my ask. Do what you can. Not only is there need for our businesses, there's needs, period. There are families in need more so now than I think what we've seen in a very long time. So, please think about that as you go through this season of giving and figuring out what's best for you and your families and how you can best give in our community at this time of the year. Warming shelters. I've had some conversation earlier as we had the cold snap in the fall a little bit about warming shelters and reached out and had some exchanges with the Canby Center and a number of the pastors here in church. A number of church pastors here in Canby. We've been working together in years past and will be again this year about providing a warming shelter on cold nights like we're about to have. I think tonight's supposed to be down close to 30 and the next couple of nights as well. And Zor Lutheran has always been a great partner with all the churches and whatnot. And I believe they're doing their best to set up as best they can to provide a place for warmth for those that need it. Again, they have been and continue to work with Clackamas County to make sure that, and I suspect I watched Chief nod his head, I'm sure that they're working with Canby Fire on making sure that we're able to provide that as a community in a brand new COVID-19 protocols that they probably will need to follow and adhere to, which makes providing probably this avenue a little bit more of a challenge to do, but that is, as far as I know, available and will be throughout the winter. I wanted to touch on the Kiwanis Toy Drive that's going on. Again, like I said about our small businesses, there are families that are in need, and the Kiwanians are out there crushing it, trying to get toys, food, and trying to make this Christmas season one for bring it together for many people in our community. So as you see those barrels around, you're out doing some shopping, please pick up a couple of items and drop them in the barrels. 15, 16, 17-year-olds like Christmas presents too. So don't forget about those older teenagers. And socks do make a good gift. So there's nothing like a good pair of warm socks. So don't think the teenagers don't like socks. Light the Night traditionally is the first Friday in December. And we had to check and adjust twice for this event because of the COVID situation and meeting state requirements as laid out by our governor. And so we changed it and we changed it again. And so the Light the Night event will actually be a recorded piece that is being worked on as we speak, so that the video will happen on Friday and then the lights will go on and be on. For those of you that traditionally come down and take some pictures in front of the big Christmas tree all lit up there in Waite Park, you can still do that, still come down. I think the plan is to still, quote unquote, throw the switch at 6:30 on Friday night and they'll be on and ready to go. So we all have had to check and adjust. This is one of my favorite events. I just was on the phone with our economic development director on the way home tonight and was making sure that we added more lights, because you can never have too many lights around trees. So please watch for that. I know that CTV5 is working really hard to make it really special, and it'll still be a special event here in Canby. C4, so the Clackamas County Coordinating Committee will be meeting tomorrow night, so I don't have any report on that. Other than that will be Clackamas County Chair Jim Bernard's he's wrapping up his duties as county chair, and so I'm sure we'll have a lot of conversation about that for him and wishing him the best tomorrow. Let's see, Park Advisory Board will be meeting I believe in a couple of weeks, so I have nothing new to report on that. And then the Region 1 Area Commission on Transportation, I'll be attending that meeting on Monday. So I will have all sorts of fun stuff to report on in the new year around all that good stuff. So that concludes my business, and I'll work around my screen here, and we'll start with Councillor Spoon for any liaison reports or comments.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have anything this evening.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Hensley?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't really have much in the way of a liaison report. As you just mentioned, C4 is tomorrow, and I don't have anything for traffic safety yet. But I just did want to mention that the Suicide Prevention Task Force is working on another PSA, and the high school has been including mental health resources and crisis hotlines in a newsletter. And just kind of wanted to say to the community, this is a really hard time of year for a lot of people, and especially this year. So if you're needing resources or helplines, reach out. You can get me on my Facebook page or whatever, and I can get you a list of resources. I just want to put myself out there as to be any assistance I can be in this time of year. So that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Councillor Hensley, thank you for that. I know I've had this conversation with a few people on the council. In the past year, I've had the opportunity to kind of, again, change careers in a lot of ways. And so one of my new jobs is I work in assisted living. And I will say, if you know of neighbors that are seniors, please check in on them. It is an especially lonely time for seniors who might be living on their own, or even if just as a couple haven't been able to see family for a long period of time. As Councillor Hensley mentioned, it is hard. It's an emotionally hard time when you're missing family and can't get out or can't see your loved ones. We are seeing a tick up in suicides and just things that we wouldn't think people would be going through it. And so I appreciate Councillor Hensley mentioning that and bringing that up.
Yeah, and also, Mr. Mayor, you mentioned the Kiwanis Toy Drive, but and you touched on seniors. Fred Meyer has a tree just outside of the shoe department that has paper ornaments hung on it. There's seniors' requests of gifts. And my daughter and I went on Black Friday and we grabbed 5 of them. They're simple requests that put a smile on their face. So, a soft blanket, or one lady who just wanted cookies and treats. And so it's a really easy way to put a smile on someone's face. So I would encourage people to go grab an ornament off that tree in Fred Meyer and make a senior's day a happy one.
Thank you, Councillor. I appreciate that very much. Councillor Parker, you are next on my screen, sir.
Nothing to add to the body of knowledge here, just best wishes for healthy holidays to everybody. And I'm assuming Mayor will have Council President Dale available to the first meeting of January, so we can hold off our love until that meeting.
Yes, we will carry him over and make sure that he is there for that first meeting in January. And we'll invite Chief Davis back as well, and we'll just line up a host of people and we'll turn it into the Council President roast for a good little bit. I think there's plenty of artillery there to roast it. No, yes, we will be doing that in January with Council President Dale, who's actually next on my screen for any updates.
Yeah, on Black Friday, I looked on Amazon and there was a fire marshal approved tinfoil shirt that I've ordered for January's roast. And I trust Chief Davis will be around to aid and assistance. I'm only 3 blocks away from him, so. And unfortunately, he's been to my house several times, so he knows the way. Mr. Mayor, CUP does not meet until next week. So I likewise will be very brief.
Okay, brevity is good. Well, thank you. With that piece, we'll now move into the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the approval of the minutes of the November 18th, 2020 City Council regular meeting, the reappointment of Jeff Mills to the Planning Commission, and the appointment of Terry Jones to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board.
I'll second.
The consent agenda was approved motion to approve it was made by Council President Dale and seconded by Councilor Hensley. And the motion is to approve the consent agenda, which includes the approval of the minutes of the November 18th, 2020 City Council regular meeting, reappointment of Jeff Mills to the Planning Commission, and appointment of Terry Jones to the Park and Recreation Advisory Board. Any discussion or comments? The only comments I have is I'm glad that Jeff Mills decided to reapply for the Planning Commission. He's been very good on the Planning Commission, and I really appreciate his experience that he has brought to the Planning Commission. And then I was involved with the interview with for Terry Jones on the Park Advisory Board, and she's got a lot of experience, and I think she's going to add a lot of some new perspective to the Park Advisory Board. So I'm very pleased on both of those. So with that being said, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda? 1, 2, 3. Councilor Hensley?
Aye.
That passes 4. Anyone not ready to approve it? All right, seeing none, that passes 4-0. We'll move into ordinances. First one up is ordinance number 1539, an ordinance amending Canby's Title 16 of the Canby Municipal Code, adding newly created code chapter 16.55 for telecommunication facilities and modifying existing chapters in the title to be consistent with chapter 16.55. Second reading. Scott or Joe, you.
Mayor and Council, this is Scott Archer. This is a second reading. You approved your first reading at the last meeting. So unless any of you have questions for us, I think it's just a recommendation for a second reading approval. We'll stand by for any questions you might have.
Council, do you have any questions of staff as a refresher on any of the code or text amendments? Councilor Parker?
Just a reminder, Mayor, didn't we, in addition to first reading, didn't we also have a work session on this item as well?
We did. That's correct. We've been well inundated on the telecommunications text changes that we're looking at. And it is interesting, just as a side conversation, a friend of mine works in the telecommunications field, and it's an interesting spot to be in with all the development that's going on regarding 5G and the use of the term 5G. And she was explaining to me that we're really only currently at like 4.3G. So this is a lot of setting up and getting prepared for the advancements I think that they're going to experience pretty quickly in the telecommunications world regarding the Wi-Fi and how that's going to get shared and accessed moving forward. So I'm sure this will not be the last time we have conversation on telecommunications.
It also occurred to me, Mayor, that there may be some people who hadn't watched previous episodes of the City Council, that when we come to second reading, it's a perfunctory sort of thing. Just wanted to send the message that these are things that we have talked about with staff and had a chance to chew over at least twice.
Perfect. Thank you, sir, for doing that. I appreciate that. If there's no other comments, I will gladly take a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move for ordinance number 1539, an ordinance amending Canby's Title 16 of the Canby Municipal Code, adding newly created code chapter 16.55 for telecommunications facilities and modifying existing chapters in the title to be consistent with chapter 16.55.
I'll second.
The motion has been made by Council President Dale and seconded by Councilor Hensley to approve ordinance number 1539, an ordinance amending Canby's Title 16 of the Canby Municipal Code, adding newly created code chapter 16.55 for telecommunications facilities and modifying existing chapters in the title to be consistent with chapter 16.55, and it's a roll call vote.
Sorry, wasn't ready for that. Counselor Spoon,
Aye.
Council President Dale,
Aye.
Counselor Parker,
Aye.
Counselor Hensley,
Aye.
All right. That motion carries 4-0. Next up is ordinance number 1541, an ordinance amending Canby Municipal Code, Chapter 2.20.040 regarding the library term of office in the city of Canby. And again, for those viewing, we had this conversation at our last meeting, and then I think a meeting or two prior, the library board approached the council about expanding their board member numbers to be able to, sorry, that's not correct. It was to determine the number of absences that someone could have before the board could elect to not have them be a board member any longer. So that changed some of the language regarding the library board's terms and how those terms are laid out. And so the last meeting, council approved that change. And so we're just here to officially make sure that there's no other questions or no one's changed their minds in that regards. Any comments or questions of staff on this one from the council? Scott, is there any other information I maybe missed?
No, that's it, unless you have any questions for us.
No, it looks like we're good. So I will take a motion, please.
Sure, Mr. Mayor. I move for ordinance number 1541, an ordinance amending Canby Municipal Code, Chapter 2.20.040 regarding the library board term of office in the city of Canby.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you, Councilor Spoon. So the motion's been made by Council President Dale and seconded by Councilor Spoon to approve ordinance number 1541, an ordinance amending Canby Municipal Code, Chapter 2.20.040 regarding the library board term of office in the city of Canby. And it's a roll call vote.
Counselor Spoon,
Aye.
Council President Dale,
Aye.
Counselor Parker,
Aye.
Counselor Hensley,
Aye.
Thank you all. That passes 4-0. Next on the agenda is some unfinished business. So the first piece is approving findings, conclusions, and final order for TA 20-01. Scott or Joe?
Mayor and Council, this is again, it's a follow-up item from your last meeting. You need to make a motion to adopt the findings, conclusions, and final order. As Mr. Lindsay just reminded me, is the reason for this is because it's part of the planning code is the reason you need to adopt those findings.
Great, thank you. Questions for staff on the conclusions and findings? No? Okay. Is there a motion then on regarding the findings?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt the finding conclusions and final order for TA 20-01.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you, Councilor Spoon. So a motion has been made by Councilor Hensley and seconded by Councilor Spoon to adopt the written findings, conclusion, and final order of the text amendment for TA 20-01. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And anyone opposed? Seeing none, that passes 4-0. Next up on the unfinished business list is the cancellation of our December 16th, 2020 City Council meeting. Mr. Archer, our agenda is pretty packed for that meeting, isn't it?
No, sir, it is not. So the reason this is on here is simply a follow-up to your conversation at the last meeting that you did by consensus decide that you would cancel the December 16th meeting. And so we're simply asking you to formalize that with a motion to cancel the December 16th meeting.
I was really hoping we could get a whole bunch of railroad people in, for a meeting and get up to speed. So that's not going to happen. All right.
Stop.
We could see what we could do, but I think you would not really want us to do that. So.
No. Yeah. So traditionally speaking, there's two meetings a year that we seem to cancel, and one of those is the second meeting in December. The other one usually falls right around the 4th of July. If it's good by the council, I think we have to have an official motion to cancel that meeting to do so. Unless you're all dying to get together on the 16th.
Well, it is sad that this would be Council President Dale's last meeting officially if we cancel the 16th, but I will move that we cancel the meeting.
Yeah, and I'll second it. It's okay. I'll get over it.
Thanks, Tim.
I'll have some eggnog and a cookie and a nap. That'll help.
Comfort food.
Making those sacrifices.
That's right. Glad to take one for the team.
All right. Well, it's been moved by Councilor Hensley and seconded by Council President Dale to cancel our December 16th, 2020 meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm seeing 4 ayes, and I'm not seeing anyone opposed. So that passes 4-0. So we will cancel that meeting. Next up is City Administrator Business and Staff Reports. Mr. Archer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have a few items for you. First is I just want to quickly say I'm in the 4th week on the job, and so really kind of coming on the home stretch of my first month as your city administrator. And I just want to acknowledge and say some thanks to all of you, Mayor and Council, our great city staff, and our community members and our partners that I've been meeting with, and people that have reached out to me and I've communicated with it. I've just felt so welcomed by all of you and our community, and it's great. It's reassuring, and I'm really excited to be on the job here. So I think I'm almost through my first month, which means I think my honeymoon is going to be over pretty soon, right? It's a 30-day honeymoon. I think it's an accelerated honeymoon period. So, but again, thank you all for making me feel so welcome, and it's off to a really great start. I'm having an enjoyable experience thus far. So just a few items for you this evening that I do want to run by you, some updates and a couple of questions for you. First of all, some updates on staff recruitments that I just want to make you aware of. The first is our planning director. We are very near making a hire. We have made a contingent offer to a preferred candidate, which means simply that we're going through all the background and reference checking and crossing the T's and dotting the I's. But we have someone who we feel is a very strong candidate and someone we think will be an excellent fit for the city and for our Canby community. So I look forward to making a formal announcement on that in the relatively near future. Couple of other staff recruitment items. We're also in the process of hiring, making 2 lateral police officer hires. We have contingent offers with 2 excellent candidates. So we'll look forward to some announcements and some future swearing in of those officers. And then we have a mechanic position that closed yesterday, and we think we had mentioned this to you previously, but we didn't have a great response our first time through, and we have had a better response, and we have a really strong pool of candidates. So we're looking to round out our vacant staff positions. Next is an update to you on the new splash pad at Maple Street Park. We did our final test and inspection last week on the spray park just to make sure that it works well and that all things are it's all systems go. It passed, which means that we've officially accepted that as a complete project, and we've signed off and final payment to the contractor. So we have a working splash pad, working just in time to winterize it. But it will be ready for operation this coming season, assuming and hoping that we can operate splash pads given our pandemic situation. So we'll hope that we'll be running our new splash pad. The next item, the next two items I have are a little bit more kind of an update with a little bit of a posed question on each of those. The first is the issue around the roads transfer from Clackamas County. I believe you've all heard of this before. You've had previous conversations. And I want to just let you know that staff has had some follow-up meetings with the county. I actually was able to sit in on one of those meetings earlier this week to get a bit more up to speed. The details are still being finalized on this, but what I can tell you is that the county's offer to transfer the roads and give us some funding, the county's offer has improved since the last time that we communicated with you. And so staff is feeling positive about this and is in a place where we think we would like to move forward on negotiating an agreement. So the question I have for you is, would you, first of all, are you still in a position of, a consensus position of continuing to move forward on this? And then secondly, if so, would it help you and would it be beneficial if we would schedule a work session on this subject so we can get into a greater amount of details and prepare you before we bring forward an agreement? And that work session, we'd probably be looking at, given the break that we're on after this meeting, and then the first meeting or two in January, I'm thinking we'd be looking at maybe a February work session. This agreement, the offer that we have is it's essentially, it is good through the current fiscal year. So we have until end of June, essentially, to get an agreement done if we were to move forward on this. So the question I pose is it still something you want to move forward on? And if so, do you want to have a work session scheduled?
Councilor Parker?
Well, Scott, this goes back a long time. And for several years, when we were first on the council, we were at stasis. The city and the county were both not willing to make a move. Finally, I think the majority of us decided that one of the most common questions that we get from our constituents is, why are some of the roads in Canby in such crappy shape? And then we are off on a rabbit hole of county roads and so on and so forth. Most of the people that I talk to, all of the people I talk to, don't care about that. They want all of the roads within the Canby city limits brought up to city standards. And so I think we had a pretty good deal before. If you say it's better, fine. But my suggestion, as far as a policy direction, is that we continue to proceed to bring all of the roads into Canby and bring them up as close as we can to city standards, period.
Council President Dale, thoughts?
I think Councilor Parker said it well. I mean, that's our superordinate goal, right? Is to get all those streets into our ownership, into our care. The tough details for Scott to work out, of course, is how do we get there financially and accept roads that are in a state that we can, afford to maintain them. But yep, that's where we want to be. I'd say continue forth.
Yeah, I think Councilor Parker encapsulated it well in that I do think, Scott, probably a work session, as it seems fit in the calendar would be appropriate for us. Just again, to re-emphasize what the deal parameters are with the county, revisit what roads exactly are we talking about. If we have some sort of an idea on the condition of those roads, like, you and I talked the other day, South Redwood is a head scratcher as to why that got missed back in the day to begin with, because it is a neighborhood street, and that, but yet we know like North Pine and North Redwood are still in a state of development and whatnot. So I think ironing out those pieces and what that's going to look like will ultimately be a part of that dialogue. I mean, at the end of the day, the goal is to get those county roads under our control so that we really own the destiny in that regards to those pieces.
Yes, Mayor and councilors, thank you for that feedback. So we, again, we are on a good trajectory forward to, I think, meet those goals that you all have mentioned. I think a work session would be helpful, and I'll look forward to scheduling something with you just to make sure that before we enter into an agreement and accept these roads, that you're all comfortable with where we're at. I'd like to schedule that, and then also bring in Mr. Nelzine to help kind of walk through, the more fine details of that, the specific roads, the conditions, and what we're getting along with accepting the roads financially, and how we will be able to improve those. And as I said, we do feel that we're on a good trajectory at this point, and we'll continue to work on that. So I'll be back with you after the first of the year to talk more in depth about this.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that. And then when you and I talked the other night too, and this was a conversation I think Councilor Parker and I have had a couple of times, and we've brought forward as well, as might be worth as part of that dialogue as well about, again, a new year, potentially a new presidential administration, when we've got low costs of borrowing money and supplies, that the greater picture too is what might we be able to accomplish on a transportation scale if we look at borrowing to get some further projects or ownership done in that regards as well. So I don't know if that's part of this conversation or not. I'll leave that to you to decide how that would fit together in that regards.
Very good. We'll proceed in that direction.
Okay, Councilor Parker, another thought?
Well, just to reinforce what the mayor said, at one of our monthly cities meeting, we were up at the city of Sandy, and we were talking about the fee, the registration fee that the county passed, and the funds that would bring to various municipalities. And the city of Sandy came up with the idea of taking their yearly payment and using that as a revenue bond, because the theory is that it is cheaper to borrow money now to do all of your road projects than it is 6 years from now. So we've kind of touched on that. I'd like us to roll that into that conversation. Period. New paragraph. And in terms of work sessions, yes to all of them. We've got a third of our council coming on board, and I think I would benefit by having them engage in some of these long-term things. I'm glad we're getting some new blood. I'm sorry to see our old blood leaving, but in terms of these things, Scott, I really would encourage us to consider more work sessions in order for all of us to be brought up on these. The road funding questions and the funds that they come from so many different sources. It's taken me 10 years to almost figure it out.
Happy to do that.
Oh, Council President Dale.
Yeah, just to toss in one of my final 2 cents of support. One of my regrets will be not seeing this particular effort through. I think it's you don't very often in my almost 10-year career hear me say, let's go borrow money. But it's a fine idea. And in particular, my encouragement is that we look at this as a mechanism for bringing in the Walnut Street bypass much sooner than later. That's a particularly urgent need. It can become a gating factor on the final build out of the industrial park. And it's something that we need almost desperately to get done. So I just want to throw my encouragement in that if I were to still be around, you would find me to be a strong proponent of that.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Great. Ready to move on? I've got another item for you.
Fire away.
Excellent. So this is my last item, and it is an update on the quiet zone and the Canby Arch project. So where we're at is this. So the council, I know, has discussed this at length. The city went out for bids previously, earlier in the calendar year. We did not receive a very strong response. In fact, only one bidder responded, which is not a great way to proceed on a bid typically. There was also some discussion, I know, around not only, perhaps getting more favorable bids, but getting everything in order to move the project forward in a timely way. Would we want to leave these two projects linked together as they currently are, and all of that? So in my first few weeks on the job here, I've kind of quickly gotten up to speed on this, and we've had some meetings with our key staff involved, and we also met with our project engineer. And where we are at is we're looking at, we're prepared to rebid the project. We have put together essentially kind of a repackaged and a rebranding of this project. It is still a single or a combined project, which means both the arch and the quiet zone are still linked. That's the way that the engineering has been done, and the various permits are in place with the railroad and all of our necessary construction easements, and just all the various pieces are in place. So staff has already done a lot of work on this. The engineering has all been done kind of as a combined effort. And we have in our meeting most recently with our engineer, we reached an agreement and a recommendation that we open the bid. We re-advertise this on Friday this week, so 12/4. And what we're doing is, again, it's kind of a repackaging of the bid to make it more favorable and also to entice more contractors. One way that we're doing that is we're renaming the project. So we can still informally refer to it as the Arch and the Quiet Zone, but to attract more bidders, we are actually renaming it formally the Elm, Grant, and Ivy Street Improvements and the Canby Arch Project. I know that's a mouthful, but our engineer gives us assurance that will push this to the right types of bidders to give us competitive bidding. The other piece is that putting this out right now, this time of year, we believe that the market to get more favorable bidding responses is going to be better than it was previously. Our engineer has spoken directly with a number of contractors to sort of feel out where people would be on this, and they received a favorable response and felt that we were going to get a good bid response. So things are, I think, much more favorable than they were before. Everything is in place to move forward on the bidding. If we are able to have a good bidding process and bring something back to the council, the bid would go through. The bidding period would be from this Friday, 12/4, and would close on January 14th. So that is a length of period. That's a length of time that we think is adequate to allow prospective bidders to really dig in and hopefully sharpen pencils and make some good proposals to us. And then we would review those, obviously, and if everything is in order, we'd bring back a formal recommendation to the council probably in early February, I believe. We anticipate that we would be on a path of completing this in fall of 2021. So we would be moving forward relatively quickly. And again, we've got everything else in place with agreements and so forth. As far as the funding component, this is all urban renewal funds. We reviewed our available funds. We have some work to still do to kind of finalize that package. And depending on where the prices come in, along with all the other costs we've already incurred, such as our engineering, some of the costs with our agreement with the railroad and things of that nature, we would bring back to you a full report on the funding, including a proposal or a recommendation to award a bid. So I wanted to bring this to you this evening. Staff believed that council's prior direction was to go back and kind of rework this and consider rebidding this. So that's where we're at. Unless you have any objections or there's any redirection from you, we would plan to go out for bidding opening this Friday.
So thumbs up from Council President Dale. Councilor Parker, Councilor Spoon, thank you. Councilor Parker?
Do you want my long speech or my short speech?
Whichever you feel most comfortable with this evening, sir.
Well, since we do have our two new council elects online, I just wanted to remind everybody that when we went into negotiations with the Hanlon Development Company to build the Dahlia building, we promised that it would be a strategic decision to seek this quiet zone. So I think part of the credibility of our city is achieving that. So I'm not sure I necessarily need to know those details and the engineering studies and the costs. I just want to know when you're going to turn it on and make it work.
Okay. So Scott, it looks like there's lots of thumbs up on the go ahead to let's get it back out for rebidding and see what comes back. I appreciate the aggressive timeline of getting it bid it out for bid, get it back and get going on it. Because as we've seen this drag on, the scope has, we've seen scope creep and we've seen dollar creep, both of which have made me extremely uncomfortable and unhappy with how this is dragged on. And so it would be great to have this finally put to rest here in 2021.
Excellent. Well, your continued support to move forward is appreciated. Staff will be working diligently to bring this back to you with some favorable recommendations in the early part of 21. And as I said, if everything goes as hoped and planned, we will be moving forward quickly, and we'll get into construction and we'll have a project completed in 21. And so we do intend to move forward and keep it on a good track. And I think we're in a good place with this. So thank you.
Great. Well, appreciate the work on that. And I know Jerry's been very instrumental in this as well. So I appreciate you picking this up and running with it. So thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, thank you for mentioning Jerry. So credit to Jerry Nalzine for his excellent work on this. And then also to Joe Lindsay on getting our agreements in place with the railroad and all of his work in the interim period to keep this moving forward. So lots of credit to folks that were working on this before I got here. That is my report, but since this is our last council meeting of 2020, I just want to wish everyone happy holidays and a happy new year, and we will formally see the council again in January.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is citizen input. Melissa, has anything come in that we should be aware of?
No, nothing came in.
Great. Action review.
All right, you have approved the consent agenda, adopted ordinance number 1539 and 1541, adopted the written findings, conclusion and final order of text amendment TA 20-01, and canceled the meeting of December 16th, 2020.
Great. Thank you. Before I take a motion to adjourn, I want to wish staff, council, all of Canby, a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. We've kind of said at the beginning of the meeting, there's a lot of need, but I also think that this is the season of hope and season of hope. And I think that there are, even with all that's gone on, there's definitely silver linings out there that I think we can find and we can look at. And so I just wish you all all of you, council, and all of Canby, a very blessed Christmas time and with friends, family, and your loved ones, and be safe out there. And if you are in a state that you need help or you need someone to talk to, reach out. I know all of us here on the council would make ourselves available if you needed it. So Canby, have a very Merry Christmas, and I will take a motion to adjourn.
I move to
Mr.
adjourn.
Mayor,
Yes, sir, Tim.
I was going to say, indulge me in one final motion
Yes, sir.
that fortunately is non-debatable. I move we adjourn.
And I will second.
The motion undebatably has been made by Council President Dale as his final act
Here we go.
as Council President to adjourn, and seconded by Councilor Hensley. All those in favor? I see and hear 4 ayes to adjourn. Canby, good night. Merry Christmas. Council President Dale, thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Good night, Canby.
Pleasure.